This blurry 1917 funeral account of the husband of my second great-grandaunt contains 52 people with where they live and their relationships to the deceased. This is genealogy gold. Before AI, extracting this data meant hours of squinting and typing. Now I'll show you how to get it all in a searchable spreadsheet in 10 minutes. I tested 4 free AI tools to extract every name and relationship, and while all had different strengths and weaknesses, one came out slightly ahead. And the secret to success isn't just which AI tool to use, it's knowing what to ask for. I've built up a small set of prompts that guide the tools to give you the best results for your family tree research. Let me show you this method in action. I'm going to use Claude, which came out slightly ahead in my testing, but these same prompts work with most of the tools, though I'll show you that free ChatGPT struggled. Here's the funeral account I'm working with, a goldmine of family connections, but as you can see, it's not exactly easy to read. The key is building your prompt step by step. Don't just upload an image and ask for a table of people. That won't work well. You need to guide the AI to 4 specific stages, and I'll show you each one. You can follow along if you have an obituary or funeral account. If you've only used ChatGPT, then this is a good time to try an alternative. There are several. In this case, Claude. Search for Claude AI, go to the page. If you haven't logged in before, you'll be taken to a login page. You can set up a free plan. Here's the prompt window, and the results will display beneath it. Stage 1 is to set the expert role. Here's exactly what I type. You are an expert in genealogy and history. The reason I give it this specific role is that common use for AI is copywriting or marketing. Its default behavior seems to be as a creative writer. That's not what we want here. We need precision, not creativity. You are also an expert in the transcription of images from 19th and 20th century newspapers. This second part about transcription expertise is also important. AIs don't like ambiguity. If it can't decipher some text, it may try to give you a guess and not tell you that it's guessing. It may also change what it perceives as incorrect grammar, but an expert transcriber of old documents shouldn't do that. Stage 2. Tell it about the document and get a first transcription. I will give you an image from a newspaper page. Please transcribe it. In the final version of the prompt, I give it more instructions here. Let's see how it does with this basic request. I can see a few mistakes. Some initials and names are incorrect. And most importantly, an entire person is missing. Mrs. Patrick Young. She's just not there. That's the worst kind of mistake because it's not obvious when I scan the transcription. It's easier to see errors than missing data. In fact, I didn't notice the error at this point. It wasn't until Claude displayed the data as a table that I noticed that a person was missing. So I came back and added these details to the prompt. This is not completely correct. Please repeat the task with these additional instructions. Read character by character to avoid mistakes. Do not make assumptions. Transcribe exactly what appears in the text. If uncertain about a word, flag it rather than guessing. Now, Claude is showing me exactly where it's uncertain, including the missing Mrs. Patrick Young. This is why Claude gets extra points over the other AIs. With these instructions, it's the only one that clearly showed uncertainty in the transcription. This allows me to give it corrections at this point. Here are corrections for what you have flagged. It's uncertain about the text after Mrs. O'Reilly. Checking the image, the correct text is the place name Shercock. I'll give that correction. The next text is flagged as uncertain is the missing Mrs. Patrick Young. It's flagged its own guess at Balyer's Bridge. That's actually Butler's Bridge. I'll submit these corrections and it will accept them and correct the transcript. Stage 3. Extract the data into a table format. Now that I have a reasonably accurate transcription, I can ask her what I really want. The data is structured to help my research. Please extract every mourner into a table with this header: name, relationship, location. The name will always be present, but other details may not be. And here we go. This is much easier to check for mistakes, right? I can quickly scan for transcription errors that jump out at me. For example, I can see 2 incorrect place names that I didn't spot with the first transcript. So I give Claude those corrections. And I'm not finished yet. Stage 4. Fill in the missing relationships and locations. Notice how there are a lot of blanks in the relationship and location columns? I can use AI to help fill these in by recognizing patterns in old newspaper funeral notices. This is not what transcribers do, so I didn't include this request earlier. I wanted accurate transcription first. But now I can ask for inferences. Let me start with the locations. See the text DO that occasionally appears after a name? That's an abbreviation for ditto, pretty standard in old newspapers, UK and Ireland. I've highlighted 4 people with the surname of Young. Mrs. J. Young, comma, Phyllis, J.A. Young, comma, ditto, P. Young, comma, ditto, and Philip Young, Tier Quinn. Now where you see ditto and ditto, so J.A. Young, ditto, that means the place name is the same as the previous place name. So J.A. Young also lives in Billis. P. Young also says ditto. So that ditto is the same as J.A. Young, ditto, also living in the same place as Mrs. J. Young in Billis. But then we come to Philip Young, who isn't ditto. He now has a new place name. He lives in Tier Quinn. So we can use this knowledge to start filling in some additional place names. Some names are followed by the abbreviation DO dot. This is the abbreviation for ditto and means that the place name is what appeared before. Revise the table on this basis. Okay, that's looking good. It has filled in a few more place names. So now we move on to the relationships. Notice that the people are listed in sections that end with the relationship in parentheses, like sons or nephews, or this final just relatives. Everyone within these boundaries shares the same relationship. It's a grouping. This is typical for newspapers in the United Kingdom and Ireland at that time. American newspapers may be slightly different, but will certainly have a pattern that readers would recognize. So modify my prompt to match what you see in your documents. And the key is to give this pattern to the AI so it can grab the correct relationships. The mourners are grouped into sections that end with the relationship in parentheses, like sons. You can assume that everyone in each section shares that relationship. Revise the table on this basis. And here we go. See how it's filled in all the nephews and cousins from where there were blanks? Now I have a table that I can copy to a spreadsheet. Let's go ahead and get this data over into Google Sheet. If you hover over the table here, this icon here gives you a copy. Click copy. And now I'll open Google Sheets. I'll give myself a blank spreadsheet and hit Control V. Okay, so I'll just get rid of this first row here. It's given me the header in bold and it's given me this 52 people. And this is the kind of format that makes it easier for me to go and check against my family tree to see who I have in there, who I haven't, where I need further research. Let's take a quick look at Gemini and how it stacks up with Claude for this task. Gemini is Google's AI tool. It actually did better with the initial transcription. Same prompt, same document. It wasn't perfect. Some incorrect initials, some incorrect place names, but it didn't leave out an entire person in the way that Claude did. But my biggest gripe with Gemini, and it's a serious gripe, is that it made up relationships that weren't in the original text. It made up grandnephews. There's no section for grandnephews. There is for grandsons, there is for nephews, but this is an invention. Claude never invented relationships. You've got to be on your toes and check everything. When I told it the relationships were not all correct, it tried to correct itself and it still got relationships wrong. When I gave it the explicit prompt explaining how the relationships were organized into sections, it then got it right. Next up in the lab, it's Perplexity. Perplexity.ai, excellent at searching the web. It didn't get off to a great start with this task at all. See the bullet points? Unlike both Claude and Gemini that recognized that I wanted a transcription, Perplexity decided to, make it pretty with bullet points. This formatting isn't faithful at all. When I gave it more explicit instructions to provide an accurate transcription, it did a fine job. It had no problem extracting the initial table of people with the missing details for relationships, but it didn't do as well as Claude or Gemini when I gave it the instructions on how to infer the relationships. It still left a whole lot of blank. So I told it to pay attention to my previous instructions and that it should be able to infer every relationship. And then it got it right. A little bit of pushing, yeah. Well, ChatGPT was a washout. The transcription itself was fine. A few errors in the place names, a few errors with initials, but all the people were there. It was generally good. I then asked for the table of mourners with their details. It provided the table, but I noticed that unlike Claude and Gemini, ChatGPT decided to fill in the missing details of relationships. That would have been fine if all its inferences were correct, but they weren't. These are mostly wrong. So I told it the relationship pattern, but then it has to go and reanalyze the document I uploaded. And at that point, I hit the usage limits and it told me to go away. I did try several times, but couldn't complete the task without hitting the limits. If you've got a subscription, you should be fine.